here's George here to do a first impression talking bit on this game, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures 2. Oh, boy, where do we begin with this? For those of you who don't know, I don't know, like, I started this maybe last year or something like that. I've been talking about this cartoon show called Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, and it's a very, very bad cartoon. It's terrible. It just beriddles the Pac-Man franchise, and it just relies on the most bottom-of-the-barrel humor that is possible. And it's just so unfunny, so unoriginal, and it's mind-numbingly stupid. And of course they made a game of it last year, and I looked at that, and to my surprise, I didn't care for the game. It was terrible. It was lackluster, it was boring, it was uninteresting, it was a very standard, bad 3D platformer. So, I heard they made a sequel, and it came out. And here it is. Now, I didn't play the first one on the Wii or the Wii U, so I don't know how different it was, but honestly, after playing the second one, it could have been on any system. That's kind of how it feels, and it is on every single system. So it doesn't come too much of a surprise that they didn't really do anything interesting with the Wii U version. Though there's a lot of missed opportunities they could have had with it to make the Wii U version a little more interesting. But, of course, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, it's anything but interesting. So, the sequel, the second in this shitty game franchise, has it improved at all? A bit. Not by much, but it has improved by a bit. I'll definitely say it's better than the first one from what I can recall. They did some simple improvements like adding boss battles, which was absent from the first one from what I played. Like, I completed the first world in the first game, and there was not a single boss battle you encountered. In fact, the closest it got was to this one enemy that was a little bit bigger, but took a little more to defeat it, but only one hit kind of thing. The first boss battle in this is its own level. It has its own thing to it, and it's interesting, you know. That's about it. Other improvements to the game, there's not a whole lot, really. It's still a 3D platformer. There are some 2D platforming bits, but for some reason, they still retain the 3D platforming controls in some bits, so, like, you could possibly fall off the edges, even though it's a 2D environment. Wrap your mind around that. How do you fuck that up? Another weird thing is the voice acting. They got different voice actors again. Like, I commented about it in the first one, saying that some of the characters don't sound the same as they do in the cartoon series. And it's especially prominent in this one because every character but Pac-Man sounds fucking different. Like, maybe even Pac-Man has a different voice actor for all I know, but at least they fucking tried to sound like the cartoon show. Everyone else just sounds very off, and that's actually probably a good way to describe the whole gaming experience itself, is it just feels so off in places. The 3D platforming, jumping feels a little off. It doesn't quite feel right. You can double jump, but it doesn't feel like it works entirely. The voice acting, once again, is off. The way everything works, it just feels kind of off. I have no other way to describe it. Controls for the Wii U, although they should be simple, for some reason just do not feel right. Jumping is assigned to B, chomping is assigned to Y, and then specials are assigned to X. But for some reason, it just doesn't feel right. Like, sometimes you'll go to jump and you'll hit the chomp button, and you'll try to do specials and you'll hit the chomp button. Like, it just feels really fucking weird. Because I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like some of the controls should be switched around. But that's how it is. Story this time around is Atreus is trying to take over Pac-World, of course. And he just does things. It's kind of like the show, he just fucking does whatever. Places you'll visit, you'll go to Pacopolis, of course, you go to Atlantis, why the fuck not, you'll go to space because that's a standard thing, you go to the Netherworld because, you know, there's 5 different worlds, there's like a handful of levels in each of them, I'd say maybe about 10, and they're really short levels too, they don't take too long to go through them, but, whoops, my god, are they just so boring to play. Like, there's really nothing interesting to it. It does do a couple of interesting concepts, but you've seen these a lot in other games, and especially better in a lot of games. Like, there's a lot of things where I was playing it going, this reminds me of Sonic the Lost Worlds for some reason. Which is a far more superior game than this, of course. That should go without saying. This time around, you don't only play as Pac-Man, you also get to play as his 2 friends, the girl and Guy, whose names escape me even though I've heard them countless times in this game. You get to drive vehicles as well, so you get different kind of gameplay feel to it, but it still is very boring, even though it's a desperate attempt to try and keep the game interesting as you continuously play it. It doesn't do it so well. It also feels really slow during the vehicle and the parts with his friends, compared to Pac-Man. It just feels so slow, and a game that already feels really boring to begin with should not have moments where it just slows to a crawl. And that's what a lot of those kind of other different gameplay feel levels feel like. A slow down crawl. And that's not good. The game advertises multiplayer. I couldn't find a multiplayer option anywhere within the game. So I don't know where it is. Also, when I was starting up the game, it was looking for content, which means they're probably going to have downloadable content. I don't know why, especially considering how poorly this game is definitely going to do. I should actually note that when I went to get this game, I had went to a couple different stores, two EB Games, a Best Buy, a Walmart, and a Target, and none of them had this game on display anywhere in my town of Burlington. They didn't have it on display. When I went to the second EB Games, I had actually asked them, and they had it behind the counter. Not like displayed behind the counter, they had it kind of like hidden in one of the drawers behind the counter, where it was like you had to ask for this game. You had to go, hey, do you have Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures 2 on this system? And then you're like, well, let me check. Oh, look, we have one copy for said system. They didn't even have it on display. So they probably didn't think it was going to do well, or there wasn't even a fucking audience for it. They just kind of had it because the store had to have it. And they're like, we're not even going to, waste shelf space for this game. Which I can't blame them. There shouldn't be an audience for this game or the TV show, considering how fucking stupid it is. It was really weird when I saw in the Miiverse, people were like, this game's a huge improvement, it's way better than the first one. Well, yes, but that's not saying a whole lot. But it's not a good game either. Anything else? Music I'll give it this. The music's actually really good. It's a lot of remixes of classic Pac-Man themes and other... I want to say I've heard a couple of other Namco game remixes in there. But, like, you'll definitely recognize a lot of the themes that it's remixing. And they're good. So, congratulations. You guys have one good thing about this game. Well, two good things. The fact that you added boss battles is a definite improvement. But yeah. There's a lot of... there's like a main hub, much like the first one, where the first one took place in the main hub was in the school. This one, it's kind of like spread out, which is really weird considering there's nothing to do in any of the areas. There's not like any interesting things that are happening anywhere. Like in the first one, it was contained in a small area, and like there were a few rooms that are designated for certain things. But here, there's like the hub, the main place where you'll come to, and then there's different rooms that have nothing in them. Like just, hey, here's a place where you can collect more Pac Dots, or get more of these extra live things that are just strewed across these planes. And that's another thing. This game is fucking generous with free lives. Like, by the time I finished the first world, I had like 70 extra lives. It's crazy. Why would you need that many? Like, clearly, the intent of this game was just for people to play, but you don't feel challenged at all. Or, like, there's any urgencies or anything. It's kind of just where, like, I'll just go through it. Oh no, I lost a life. Oh well, I have 50 other ones. That's never a good thing, especially with platformers. You should feel challenged when you're playing them. And the fact that I had 60 lives by the time I finished the first world or whatever, not a good sign. It should be one of those things where I have like 10 lives, and I'm desperately trying to make sure I don't go through them all. Like, no. Whoops, there goes a life. Whoops, there goes one. Oh, there goes one. Hey, look on your seats, everyone. There's an extra life on there. Like, that's what it felt like. Oh, God. So, overall statements about Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures 2. Improvement from the first one. So, there's that. But it's still boring to play. You don't feel challenged at all. It has good music. And the controls are a bit off. The whole game feels off. But it's an improvement. A small improvement, but improvement nonetheless. Hopefully by the time we get to Pac-Man The Ghostly Adventures 11, the game will actually be good. But I don't know if Namco would invest that much money into this. I haven't even heard anything about them renewing for a third season, so that might be a promising thing. So, yeah. With that all said and done, until next time, keep on gaming.